Thank you. Thank you for all of you to come and hear some former Chicago student and alumni to speak about his work, which is myself. Usually the audience asks me how to pronounce my name myself and explain what it means, but since we only have 18 minutes and that would take most of it up, I won't do that. Instead, I will talk a little bit about the recent work I've been doing for the past 12 years since leaving the university. That has been, in many ways, the culmination of my academic and intellectual life, which was addressed all along to understand what goes well in human life, instead of what psychology usually studies, which is what are the bad things that we have to correct in order to live a decent life. And my concern was that, okay, so we get to what is a normal, decent life, but is that all there is to existence? You know, couldn't we try to find more out about what lies beyond the normal, everyday routines that we consider to be adequate for a reasonable life? So I became interested in creativity. I wrote my dissertation here about 50 years ago on creativity, and I became interested in many other things that people do that elevates their feeling of self and relation to the universe in a way that makes their life more meaningful and more interesting and more exciting. So these concerns that I had for all of my academic life to try to understand better this came to a culmination kind of quite accidentally 12 years ago when my wife and I went to celebrate our 40th wedding anniversary in Hawaii, and there we ran into an old colleague who had been just elected president of the American Psychological Association. His name was Marty Seligman, and we spent a week on the beach kind of talking about what we really wanted to do to kind of change psychology somehow, to confront this issue of what lies beyond the average, what lies beyond the normal. And he became president of the APA. We wrote our first manifesto together in the year 2000, issue of the American Psychologist, and we called this new perspective, we called it positive psychology, which is not the best term that you can perhaps use, but the point of it is that we try to call psychology as a discipline, as a profession, to look more about the kind of things that really make life worth living rather than try simply to adjust people to normality, in a sense. Well, since then, this idea of positive psychology has blossomed, and there have been thousands of young psychologists around the world, from South Africa to South Korea to Europe, everywhere, who are now doing research and trying to, there goes the water, okay, well, we had the fifth World Conference in Philadelphia next summer, where again hundreds of people from around the world come to exchange ideas about what could make human life more rewarding, more exciting, more meaningful. And to make a long story short, what we have at this point, a kind of preliminary conclusion is that there are three different elements that go into making a good life. And these are essentially, the first one is simply pleasure, which includes all kinds of things that we are homeostatically programmed to feel good about. And those are all the things that you can imagine, from good food to comfort to security, health, etc. Pleasure is the first one. Okay, the second one is what we came to call engagement. And engagement is the feeling that you are doing something that's worth doing, that you can lose yourself into, that expresses who you are. And that's based essentially in large part in my own work on flow and in the past 40 years that I have been working on. And the third kind of platform for a good life, for happiness, if you wish to call it that, is meaning. That is that you feel that what you're doing connects you to something greater than yourself, whether a human group or an abstract idea or beauty or the kind of feeling of being part of the cosmos. And these three are not necessarily connected. They are orthogonal to each other to a certain extent. But when they overlap and you can have a pleasurable life that's engaging and meaningful, that pretty much adds up to what all of us, I think, would like to have in life. And the results of the studies done now show that, in fact, all of these contribute to life satisfaction, to a person feeling happy about life. And however, they are not equally important. Pleasure is the least predictive. Engagement is generally the more predictive, and meaning is also kind of in between these two in terms of being able to increase a person's feeling that life is worth living and that makes people happy about their lives. So I will be talking a little bit about engagement, and since that's the part that I'm most familiar with, I would like to do this simple experiment here, which I haven't done before, so it may not work really, but imagine that we have these two dimensions. One, what you're doing, that's the horizontal axis. And what you're doing could be something very difficult to do or something, on the other hand, very easy to do. And the question is, where would you predict a person to be most happy in this space? Would it be would you think that it's to the left-hand side when what you're doing is difficult? On the right hand, it's very easy. The reason I bring this up is because there is a kind of a psychological, psychologists who do experimental work would predict this kind of curve more or less. That is, if you have something to do that the easier it is to accomplish it, the easier it is to perform it, the more you want to do it and more enjoyment it gives you. Now, I'm curious if you were to say where you would be on the left hand, in the middle, or to the right-hand side, where you would feel most that you are enjoying what you're doing. Let's have a show of hands for those who would say the left-hand side. Ooh, okay. How about the middle? Okay. And how about the right? Oh, wow. So you had this confirming what the psychologists would say, which is that the easier it is, the more enjoyment you get. And unfortunately, this is true when what you're doing is something that's forced on you to do. And that's, if you're taking somebody who is working in an assembly line or a dull job, then this curve would probably reflect how much enjoyment they get out of their work, because the work itself doesn't give them any pleasure or enjoyment. They just want to get it over with, okay? And that's what that's what people in an experiment, psychological experiment, would do too. Why would they enjoy a difficult experiment when what they are doing is something which is, they just want to get the $5 that the experimenter pays for, or just get over with it. There's no interest built into the activity. So this curve, in fact, reflects the findings that you get from people who are doing something that they don't care about. But in my work, I came up originally with this kind of simple model, which says that you should be enjoying things that are just at the edge of your ability when it's not neither too difficult and too easy. And that was what flow theory would predict. Now, I would like to show you just one recent study that we did with a student of mine who now teaches at the University of the Bosphorus in Turkey. And we studied chess, and we had about 3,000 games played on the internet, in which the people who play the game would fill out on the web. They would say how much they are enjoying, how much they enjoy the game they just played. And the point in chess, what is nice in chess is that you can measure the difficulty quite well, because it's the difference between your chess rating, which is accurately reflects your past success in playing against other opponents, and the opponent's rating, which also reflects their skill. So if you are in the middle, you have the same chess rating, and the chance of success is 50-50. Whereas the more you move to the left, the chance of losing becomes great and the winning goes down, because the opponent is much better than you are. And if you move to the right, your rating is much better than the others, so your chance of winning approximates 9 out of 10 games you will win. So this curve actually reflects their rating. So what happens is that the apogee of the curve is not exactly at the 50-50. It's actually about 12% to the left. So what people enjoy most when they are free to do something they like to do is something that's about 10% above their comfort level, where they are probably going not to succeed, at least for a while, but where the chance of future success are greater. Because if you play against someone who is worse than you, you're not going to learn much from that. And so it's something that you don't really get much enjoyment from. What you get enjoyment from is to be able to demonstrate that you are at least giving a good try at a level which is above your natural balance level of comfort. And in this audience, of course, you are prejudiced, you know, to a certain extent, that this curve represents something which has been shown in many ways before, but and also I think in a group like this, you know deep down, I think in your own experience, that dealing with some problem or issue or person who is less challenging than what you usually expect, it's worse than confronting something which is somewhat threatening in the sense of perhaps you won't be able to succeed there. And I think that this is a good, to me, this is a good demonstration of what, why we are here, why we can talk about implanting cyber chips in our arm, or how all of the future is based on stretching and going beyond where we feel comfortable. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't enjoy just relaxing and being comfortable, and that's the pleasure part of a good life. But if we didn't have this kind of built-in enjoyment of the future, the enjoyment of what's beyond our normal capability to achieve, if we didn't have that, we probably wouldn't be sitting here. We would be still in the savannas of Africa and collecting nuts and bugs to eat. Because this is, to me, one of the fundamental differences between humans and other species is this basic dissatisfaction with the status quo, the dissatisfaction with doing things the way that has been done before and where we know what the outcome will be. And it's worth risking losing some games in order to get better and do better next time. Now, obviously, as I say, this is the natural state of our adaptation to the environment. It's not really what we experience every time, because what we experience is the necessity to comply with external demands, with external rules and demands, which are not enjoyable in themselves. Now, unfortunately, I'm only four slides into, and my clock there says 0, which means that I have no more time. But it is with this, I guess this is the basic idea I wanted to convey, is that we are a species who is not comfortable with how things are being done, and we try to be better than that. And we are willing to suffer for that if it takes some of that too. But I hope that your determination to stay in that kind of area in the middle will make your life better, as it does to most people who try it. Okay.